What's up, guys? I know it's been a while since I've done a solo miner episode, but I just really want to kind of do an update and a little bit more clarification as far as kind of what it took to get Omega. I know a lot of people were thinking, I got it inside of a month, which it was actually a little bit more than a month. The first episode of this series came out in on the 31st of January, and then the most recent for this one was March 7th. So it was about 35 days that I was grinding for it. And one of the big reasons I haven't done a whole lot of episodes on this series since I got Omega is because I just kind of like got really burnt out from that grind. Um, I will say that it is doable. It is definitely doable, but it's not sustainable, right? I mean, you got to be prepared that once you get into Omega, you've got essentially it's a little bit easier, but you have to kind of like prepare yourself to deal with some burnout there. I was doing about 15 hours a day when it came to mining. A lot of that was kind of hands off. Um, I was just kind of going and getting as much dense feldspar as I could, getting on grid and just kind of filling up. And then I was compressing in system, so I wasn't actually going to and from Jita in between runs. And I was doing about 6 runs an hour because it took about 10 minutes or so to fill up. So doing that for about 15 hours a day for around 35 days is extremely taxing on just about every front that you can think of. Um, and then also I was doing product discovery, kind of help me out too. What I'm gonna do is I'm just kind of go through the numbers and everything with you. This is I kind of wrote everything in like a little spreadsheet here so that I can kind of help kind of like illustrate kind of everything. So obviously adventure. This was my roughly my M3 per cycle and then M3 per second. And so I'm calculating this off of MP3 per second. It took about 10 minutes to fill the 5,000 cubic meters. That's about 50,000 feldspar. And I was actually selling it on sell orders and order people in nullsec for about 13.5 a unit, which is a little bit higher than it is now. But I sell it at a premium just to try to get as much bang for my buck. And so this is roughly how much I was getting per hour in compressed value, and then this was roughly how much I was getting per day for 15 hours. And yeah, I know it's for me coming from like a ratting and a high yield like Mercoxis mining and moon mining and stuff like that, going 15 hours just to get like 60-ish million is crazy. But the kind of the purpose behind the whole series was to kind of see if it is possible, and then after you get it, if it's sustainable, which I'll talk a little bit about that later in the video about what we've been doing since we've had Omega. And this is about the what I got for the 35 days. As you can see, it's a little over 2 bill for 35 days. And then I was trying not to include product discovery since it wasn't strictly mining, but it was something that I was doing while I was mining. And then since I still do product discovery while I'm Omega, I continue to kind of like just put this in there as a little bit of a bump. And really it just kind of helped push me over the edge a little bit just to pay for that, 2.2 or to 2.4. It was kind of like hedging my bets essentially. And also, if I wasn't doing anything else actively while I was mining, it just seemed like a good idea. It didn't take very long to get the 10 million from that after the first, 3 runs or so. I was pretty much done with it for the day since it caps you out after a certain point. But essentially, after I got Omega and I did several days with Procure, I just kind of took a break. I mean, I had a lot of other stuff, going on. And also just kind of burnt out. It's definitely possible. I've been working a little bit more with the Procure in more interesting places to mine, like nullsec and stuff like that, and also attempting to do some retriever stuff. A lot of the things I've been wanting to do for this series, as far as Omega mining, is kind of on hold because we're kind of waiting on skills. I want to make sure we get like mining barge and all that stuff kind of pushed out a little bit more trained so that we can do a little bit more. So, been kind of what I've been waiting on for the most part. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of like clarify kind of what I was doing for like from between episode 1 and episode what is it 9 or so. But yeah, it was a lot of things per day. At the beginning, I would say it was probably like plus or minus a little bit. I mean, there were days where I was doing like maybe 12 hours, and then there were days I was doing like 18 hours. But I would say like 15 was kind of the average, and it was very taxing. So, I It's possible to get Omega solely with a venture in around 35 to 40 days, but it's not sustainable for the average person. Absolutely not. Like if you're going to go for Omega with just a venture, I would say shoot for like 90 days to get that first month and everything. But what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna change all these numbers to what my Procure is actually doing now, and I can kind of give you a good idea. This shouldn't say strip miner here. This should say miner two. Yeah, these are miner twos I was using. But also, I'm gonna just kind of get this changed over to the Procure stats, and so I can kind of give you an idea of what I'm doing now with Omega. And it's a lot less. I have to do a lot less per hour, or a lot less hours per day, which is really really nice. Now, the Procure has been a lot more enjoyable as far as just getting a lot more done with a lot less time, especially after putting in so many hours with a venture. But I'll kind of go over the same numbers I did. I'll use the same sheet and the kind of setup I did with the uh, the venture there, and just kind of changed everything around. Kind of just reflect what my working numbers are right now. I kept it at 35 days just to kind of give us a good idea about the same amount of ISK per the same scale we did with the venture here. As you see right here, we're doing about 7.3 cubic meters a second for both of the strip miner ones. So it's about 14.6 per second, and that's the Procure has a 16,000 M3 hold. So it's roughly 160,000 Veldspar units. And if I keep the same cell uh, value that I did before, you see it's roughly 2.1, and then it's per hour it's about 7 million. Now, as you can see here, is if I'm just gonna go strictly for like Omega with just mining alone, instead of doing 15-hour days for 35 days, I only have to do 7. Um, because I also get double the amount of product discovery down here, which this is just kind of like if I'm doing product discovery every day while I'm mining, it allows me to do less than 7 hours on any given day, and gives me a little bit more of some leeway as far as that goes. It's even as a Omega and you're mining, and I mean this is not bad if you're actually able to play and you enjoy you're already playing for like 7 some hours a day. um it's very possible to still maintain your Omega doing 7 hours a day for 35 days. And sometimes you'll be able to find other people that are out there mining, and you'll be able to like, you know, get under some Corpus or Orca boost, and that's gonna definitely help your numbers when you can find that. I know in terms of this series, it's solo mining, but I mean, as far as all intents and purposes, if you do come across somebody that is like offering boost and you do grab boost from somebody, you're still technically solo. You're just kind of getting a little bit of an edge here or there. Hasn't happened to me very much, just because I kind of move around systems quite a bit. But also, a lot of what I've been doing with the Omega time has been doing stuff that's not in high sec for the most part. Which one of these episodes coming up, I'll be going over some null sec mining that I've been doing in the Procure, and just kind of showing how you can survive against rats and things like that out there. A little bit more tactical overview on and how to just get a little bit of more value out of things. Of course, you have to worry about exporting or selling locally when it comes to like nullsec mining and things like that. But these are currently my working numbers. As you can see, even if I take off these 5 days, if I go down to a 35-day or 30-day calculation, then then I'm probably gonna have to like come up to about around 8 hours a day, and that's for Veldspar for the very same thing. I would say if you're Omega and you're at this level now, then you're probably better off doing something else. I mean, I can go and usually do like Mercoxis and Nullsec, and this becomes you end up actually only having to mine for maybe like an hour a day. That's why Mercoxis is great. Like if you really just want to like mine, pay for your Omega, that really should be your goal, is just going for Merc and everything. But they're gonna make this video kind of help everybody kind of see exactly kind of what I did for those first 35 days and how daunting it was and everything. And as far as outlook for the series, we're gonna start branching out into just showing more stuff like going real world, like taking this Procure out and doing Merc in nullsec and looking at numbers there and things like that. And then I'm also trying to get into expeditionary frigates and start doing some wormhole stuff to try to go calculations for that. But as far as maintaining Omega, it's very possible to do it. You just kind of have to broaden your repertoire of things that you're willing to do and places you're willing to go, you kind of squeeze out the most value and you as most efficient as possible. But hopefully this video kind of helped everybody kind of get caught up on the numbers and everything of kind of what I've been dealing with. It's been kind of touch and go. I did take a lot of time off just because of the crazy amount of mining I did on this character in the beginning. But we're trying to get right back into it and everything, and all that. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.